promise. And it's very confusing when the dates are very close to each other.
V'gimel inenim anal. So we're continuing with this Ma'aver, Tefla Lemoshe.
Okay.
These three things that we talked about, that there are three times really. We didn't have a chance to really explore, but the idea of the Gan Eden and Yemot HaMashiach are in parallel one to another, and these threesomes from the Alter Rebbe are very important, I think. It's sort of like saying that the distance between the two realities becomes less and less. And it is what people understand, that Yemot HaMashiach is supposed to be a time in which there's a asymptotic approach to what Gan Eden should be like. Except that Gan Eden, the part of Gan Eden in this world that will be revealed, is apparently a part of learning Torah. That you have all this wealth, all this shefa, affluence, in order to be able to learn Torah without too many distractions. In any case, so just the last line before V'gimel. והקשר לשני הפירושים הוא שבשני הזמנים דיומיים הם הגילויים דממלא וסובב ובתחיית המתים יהיה גילוי עצמות. Okay, so this we understood, this parallel. ושלושת עניינים הנ"ל, שני העניינים שבמילוי החיסרון. Meaning that whenever you're talking about memale or you're talking about sovev, there are issues of a person being needy and feeling a lack. And the ashirut, the third level, והגילויים שלמעלה הם בגימל מדרגות הנ"ל. How does this work? שני העניינים דמילוי החיסרון הם שני הגילויים דממלא וסובב. לכיוון שגם אור הסובב שייך לעולמות, לכן כשאור זה אינו מתגלה בעולם, העולם הוא חסר. So, it's sort of like saying that when a person feels the existential angst of Hashem not revealing himself, that causes in the psyche, in people's psychology, it causes them a neurosis. It causes them a problem. Because you don't know where you're going, where you're coming from, and you don't know where you're going. Without the Soviv, without Hashem revealing himself in the surrounding light, there's no clear understanding of what life is about. You might think that really life
is supposed to be Ish Ma'ani, or you believe in nobody.
So you have emunah, but it's not revealed. Or at least it's not revealed in and of itself. You have to work on it. Okay? And by the way, you said this a couple of days ago, and I sort of immediately said no, but then I said yes. And I tried to do an Ipcha Mistaba, but you were 100% right. You said that the main thing of revelation, the Rebbe writes this in many places, that the main thing of revelation of Sovev is seeing Hashgacha. That's the main thing in the end. It's not that, I always imagine somehow that I'll see that the table has Hashgacha. I'll see how the table is coming out of nothingness. But that's not, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think I need that. That I don't need. Maybe I need that with my scientific mind. But a normal person, what he needs to see is a shgacha. The moment that he sees a shgacha, he realizes that the world has a beginning, has an end.
Being run by somebody, he knows what's going on.
And that's literally what sovev means, right? We have sovev u'mesuvav. In Hebrew, sovev means the cause. And if I was more into languages, I would probably say that sovev and cause are probably even the same word. But sovev means that you see the reason behind everything. So you see the hashgacha. When a person doesn't see the sovev, the surrounding light, the world seems empty, it seems lacking something. וכמאמר הז"ל על הפסוק, ויכל אלוקים ביום שביעי, מה היה העולם חסר? חסר מנוחה. בשבת באה מנוחה. Okay? So this is the famous explanation in Chabad, that what does it mean that Hashem rested? That you saw the cause, just see the cause without the action behind everything that exists. And how does the Tzemach Tzedek explain it? That when he gives a mashal, when I'm writing a letter with my hand or typing, so my intellect is now being revealed through my hand. Through my hand, that's called memale. Why is that called memale? Because that's even memale is even from the word melacha. It's a very interesting thing that melacha in Hebrew comes from the word to fill. In lemalot. A malach is somebody who fulfills his obligation to who sent him. Maybe we talked about this once. The Chazal say that there's 39 times melacha in the Chumash, but there's not. There's 39 plus 13. But what they don't know, and maybe this was even there was probably even somebody should research it. Probably even a girsa like this in the Gemara, because this is known. That there's exactly 39 times malach in the Chumash. We mentioned it. So when you say malach, you say an angel. All these things, they all relate to memale. They don't relate to the sovev. So what happened on Shabbos? So Hashem took back. It's like the person stopping to work. So all his energy goes back into, not his energy, but his wherewithal, his wits. They come back to him. So they're no longer in the hand, they're no longer being extended. So memale, like we said, is like a ray of light entering into reality. So those are the melachot that Hashem did. What were you missing? You were missing a revelation of who's behind all this. So that's why az titanag al Hashem, that the whole point of Shabbos is to refrain from those extensions of Hashem into reality in the form of the work that He did, or the extensions, the melachim, the melachot, and to go back to the source, to feel how it is. It's like his mind goes back to, like he stopped thinking, he surveys it now. He sees what he's done. That surveil is called menucha. It's like the same idea that in the Rambam, that Hashem is the unmoved mover. Right? He's the one who moves reality. But He Himself is not moving. Okay? So that's like menucha. So came Shabbos, came menucha. So that's what Hashem created, you could say, on Shabbos, and He did this on Shabbos. So what do you see on Shabbos? You see the sovev. Menucha ibchinat sovev shelamala me'aor hamitlabesh ba'olam. So that's what Shabbos is supposed to reveal. We said before that Shabbat u'menucha chaya olamim is that there's even a higher level, that even the sovev is low relative to them. That's the atzmos of Hashem. But here you see the plan behind the action. That's what you should see on Shabbos. Menucha is gilui haratzon. That's why on Shalosh Shidduch we have Rava de Ravin, the will of the wills, the ratzon of the ratzons. ואף על פי כן, כשלא היה גילוי זה בעולם, העולם חסר. מה חסר? כן? When there was no revelation of the sovev, of this menucha, of this rest, so the world was lacking. כשבא שבת ונמשך ונתגלה וזה, נתמלא החיסרון. And Shabbos was the fulfillment of this lack, of not seeing the thought or the will behind all the actions that Hashem had done when He created the world. ולכן גם הגילוי דסובב הוא מילוי החיסרון. And therefore, even revealing the sovev, like on Shabbos, is revelation of the chisaron, of this lack. אלא שמילוי החיסרון של ידי הגילוי דממלא הוא על דרך די מחסורו, ומילוי החיסרון של ידי גילוי הסובב הוא על דרך אשר יחסר לו, אפילו סוס לרכוב עליו ועבד לרוץ לפניו. So there's two levels that the pasuk in the Chumash says, Dei machsoro asher yachsar lo. So Dei machsoro, enough of his lack, that refers to the memale, or whatever he lacks. Asher yachsar lo is whatever he lacks. Dei machsoro is enough to the limits of his needs. So the limited light is always the memale, is always the filling light, and the limitless light is the sovev. You follow? So we have this parallel. So Dei machsoro, and you hear the word dai. Dai machsoro means dai, enough. So that's memale. Memale is always limited, and it's according to what the person needs. Umilui hachisaron shel yedei gilui hasoved, that's called asher yichsar lo, kol asher yichsar lo. Anything that he lacks, there's no limit. Even a servant to run before him, to give him fanfare. Afilu sus lirkov alav, that's the memalet. Like we said, riding on the animal, and you become integrated with it. It's exactly, it should fit your needs exactly. Eved larutz lefanav, That's the sovev, which is beyond your integrated needs. It's like your kavod, what's around you, the space that you have. But wealth, being truly wealthy, is a revelation of the Atzmus. And only when you reveal the Atzmus, the essence, the very essence of what Hashem is, of the infinite light, then can you say that you are wealthy. And this type of light, it has no connection to the world as they are. Meaning, in other words, it doesn't participate in the whole processes. There's all kinds of processes that are going on between the Sovev and the Mamalit. For instance, the week. Okay? You have 6 days that you work, and then the 7th day you go back into the Sovev. So where's the Atzmus? On what day does the Atzmus show up? Atzmus is here all the time. It's always here. So the best mashal, in the end, to understand these three things,
I don't understand why the shirut is Gilui.
Sorry?
Why is Ashirut Gilui Atzmut?
Because there's no lack there. It's always perfect. It's always complete. It doesn't go through a process.
He says if you have 100, you want 200.
That's in the Memala or Soviv. That's not in the Atzmus. In Atzmus, there's no such thing. In this world, especially in the Memala, they machsoro. If you have 100, you want 200. And 100 is always, how do we say that the 100 is always what's integrated into the person. We learned that from חוזר על תלמודו 101 אינו דומה למי שחוזר 100 פעמים. If you repeat what you learned 101 times, it's not the same as repeating it 100 times. Because 100 times is you can integrate. The 101st is like I went beyond what my capacity is. So going beyond, that's like the soviv. That's hitting the soviv already. That's beyond, and now I'm forging new ground in what can become part of me and what I can integrate into myself with the 101st time. Every time you go out of your comfort zone, that's like extending your memale. That's extending your light that fills the soul. But the atzmus is not related at all to any processes. It's not a process. It just is. Like atzmus doesn't need anything. The essence of Hashem doesn't need anything. It doesn't even need to be revealed. It's fine as it is. Reveal it, don't reveal it. It's not lacking anything. But by Sovev you would think it's complete, because it's no real process there, because everything is equalized. Everything in the MB is equal in the Sovev. So you can't say I started here and I ended up there, because here and there are the same level. So what's missing from the Sovev? So you said from Sovev, what's missing is the revelation, that I don't see this. But in the Atzmus, even the revelation is not missing. It's above being light, meaning it doesn't have to be revealed or not revealed. So the way that this is usually explained in Chassidut, I think it's the best mashal in the end, is that we relate to Hashem. We've talked about this in 3 different ways. They're called ishtalshalut, itlapshut, hashra. So ishtalshalut is like evolution. That's like memale. That you want to move forward. You know this much now, you want to know that much tomorrow, and so on. You want to continue moving. You have these many children now, you want to have, in 20 years, you want to have a whole clan. And you want to continue moving forward. That's ishtalshalut. Hitlapshut, which is like the sovev here, is for something to be revealed inside of you in a way that like a levush will affect you. So hitlapshut means that I wear something, like a garment. So I myself, by definition, haven't changed, but I look different now because I put on a uniform, I did something else. Like a guy who's a 5-star general, and he walks into a department store, but he's wearing civilian clothing. So nobody knows who he is, nobody cares. Suddenly he'll walk in with all his regalia, and suddenly he's the master of the world. What happened? He's the same guy. It's like we said, he now wears the clothing that signifies that he's something else. And anybody will wear that clothing. If we don't know him, we don't know that he's really a 5-star general, right away he's like the most important person in the world. So it's shaveh mashveh. So we said that in our experience, the sovev, the mitlabesh, are the mitzvos. that we wear them. We put tefillin on. We wear Shabbos. We wear davening. We wear learning. Learning is also internal, but we wear them in the end, and they equalize everybody. Everybody is the same with the mitzvahs. But the highest level is called Ashra'ah. And Ashra'ah, like today you would say the Ashra'ah, they use it in electronics. They say, right, this doesn't have anymore because they're very good with it. They built the stuff right. But it used to be that if the phone rang next to the computer screen, right, so you'd see a jitter. That's Ashra'ah. That's what they call it today. But really what they mean is a field effect. That this creates a field, and that field affects the electrical components inside the monitor. Because it's LCD now, so they're not affected by it's the wrong frequencies altogether. In any case, Ashra'ah is like that there's background radiation. It's everywhere. And wherever you look, it's there. That's the Atzmus of Hashem. The Atzmus of Hashem, whether you reveal it, don't reveal it, it's always here and it's always everywhere. It's the same in you and me and in everything. It's not even like Soviv just makes everything equal, but it's not revealed. Here, the Atzmus is always everywhere the same, and it doesn't need to be revealed. It acts anyway. In any case, that's Ashra'ah, and Ashra'ah was what the Baal Shem Tov was going for. He was trying to bring the world to the state in which everything is permeated, everything is inside this field called the Almighty, called the Eibishter. So that's one way of understanding it. That it's not lacking anything. You could connect to it, you could not connect to it. It's all the same to Hashem at this level. And again, this is only talking about Hashem's light. This is Atzmus or Ein Sof. It's not the Ein Sof itself. It's not the infinite itself.
Atzmus is not Ein Sof?
No, when you say Atzmus of something, so you're saying the Etzem of that something. Atzmus itself is, who knows? Usually in Chassidus, when you say the word Atzmus, you have to ask the Atzmus of what? It's usually a condensed version of Atzmus of something. Very seldom does Chassidus talk about Atzmus of Hashem, as it were. And even when it does, so that's also just the Atzmus of the light. I've not really ever seen something beyond that. It might be in some places, but it's very rare. Really, we mean, like when it says Atzmuso Mahuso. Right, that's very common in the Likutei Torah and Torah Or. A lot of people quote it all the time. It's talking about how Hashem is revealed to us. It's Atzmuto Mauto of the Or Ein Sof. And of the Ma'or, of what the source is, it's a completely different story. So even sometimes we say, oh, this is just these are three levels that in general they describe human experience, but obviously there's also more than that. So what would be more than that? So we said that Hashem, when He created the world, He first thought in potential everything that would be in actuality. So Shi'er ba'atzmo b'choach, kol ma she'atid liot b'foal. So that was the creation of what came before the light of revealing. Because there's infinite possibilities here. He could have dreamt up any kind of world. But He dreamt up this one. He wanted this one. And like we say, He tried it, as it were. He tried it in Himself, as it were. Other worlds. And He said, this one I like. This one is what I want. So really, when you want...
Hashem knew that before He did it.
What?
Hashem knew that before He did it.
Yeah, that's the famous easy question. So what He needs to try it out in order to... So the answer is that everything in the end is a revelation for us. Because He doesn't need it. So He was teaching us that you should know that it's okay to have thoughts that either don't manifest in reality. You have to go through different options. But more importantly, it says that He actually created these worlds. At least in Himself, He created them. So what was the purpose of that exercise if He already knows that this is not what I want? Because He wanted to look for the world that wouldn't be, that wouldn't think that it's perfect, and would learn from the previous worlds that it's okay to fail. It's like Hashem wants a world that can get up.
It's a very simple and you might think banal example of that.
Yeah.
People, the rabbi bangs on the desk in shul and he says shlishi. So some guy says es shekel, some guy says chamesh shekel, so some guy says esrim shekel. So the guy who says esrim shekel, he pays and he gets shlishi.
Yeah.
So there's a dare that says that if you said es shekel,
You still have to give it.
You have to give it,
Okay.
right? So in other words, the idea of saying something which didn't actually come out in potential has taken an effect. I know it's a very pushed example, but it sort of somehow reminds me of that, what you just said.
It's also
Words have an effect.
true. But more importantly, don't be afraid to fail. If you have to tear it apart, build it again. Hashem was waiting for a world that saw the previous world and said, imagine after 3 worlds, the next one that you create, it says, oh no, if I do anything wrong, I'm going to be torn apart. So he's living in fear. And then he found a world like where the neshamas are not afraid. Nobody is afraid of the world being, some the goyim are. But in general, a normal person in this world is not afraid. He's not even afraid of the end of life, really. He's not afraid really of failing. So it won't work out the way I want it to. That's such an important, understand that that's part of the process. Not because I want you to fail, I don't want it, but I know that you won't try, you won't take the risk, you won't go for something bigger if you're constantly afraid of failure. And you see that people take incredible risks. And they try, and it's not being just stupid, because if it was just being stupid, so only Goyim would do that. But Jews do that all the time. They do it with the world. They say, let's see if we can create a state. You'll fail. No, I'm going to try anyway. Hashem likes that. He says, you try it anyway. He said, you're right. It's doomed to failure, because it's not according to Torah, it's not this. But the quality itself of not being deterred because it looks like it won't work, that's a very ingrained quality in this world. And in the end, you need that for holiness as well. Meaning, you need, in order to, for David to want to create the Beis Hamikdash is crazy. It's nonsense. Because nobody was with him. Nobody wanted it. Nobody was interested. He's saving up all these years to build the Beis Hamikdash. Nobody's interested. The only one who was interested was Shmuel, and he's dead now. And all the more so that you, David, who did this terrible sin with Bathsheba, and that you made all these wars to fill your coffers with gold.
I'm not sure if David really did this.
But that's how it was perceived. That's how he perceived it. And now, for me to come and do this crazy thing to build Hashem a house, why? And that's the main thing that I think that the Rebbe tried to teach people. Don't look back. You're right. You did many bad things. You have a whole tale behind you. But you have to have teuzah. You have to have boldness. You have to try anyway. You may fail, it's true, but don't be afraid of the failure, because that's what we learn from the fact that Hashem created so many worlds and He destroyed them. Really looking for the world that wouldn't be deterred by the fact that it could be destroyed. So it's not being stupid, but it's being full of boldness. If I want to serve Hashem, then there are no limits. Then I can do things that, and not be afraid of failure. Failure is not the final word. Okay. והנה החילוק בין די מחסורו ואשר יחסר לו, like we said. ונוגע לעני כפשוטו. Let's talk about a regular poor person that the Gemara is talking about. The pasuk, די מחסורו, one category, ואשר יחסר לו, the second category. הוא לא רק בזה שהשפע דאשר יחסר לו הוא שפע גדול יותר. It's not only that have a horse is one thing, to have a servant is a much greater thing. It's not just in the amount. Okay? אלא גם שעניין אשר יחסר לו הוא דווקא למי שדרכו בכך. We already talked a little bit about this, but what it means is that the person who needs the fanfare in front of him, this is because he's used to it being this way. Okay? ועל פי הידוע שכל העניינים שבתורה הם תכלית הדיוק, צריך לומר, דשני הגילויים דממלא וסובב לשני העניינים, דדי מחסורו ואשר עשה לו, לא רק מפני שגילוי הסובב הוא גילוי נעלה יותר, אלא גם לפי שהעניין דמילוי החיסרון של ידי גילוי הסובב הוא דווקא למי שדרכו בכך. So he says you have to be used to it. In order to feel the lack of the revelation of the Sovev, you have to be used to it. Meaning, in other words, that's what we talked about, that you have to have been taught that there's something called Ishgacha. You have to have been taught that Hashem is running the world. If you haven't been taught that, you won't feel the lack in the Sovev not being revealed. You won't feel the lack in Hashem's providence not being revealed in the world. You'll think this is how the world runs. Okay. As opposed to the basic needs. So for instance, everybody needs love, and they need care, and they need food, and they need shelter, and they need whatever they need. That's the same by everybody. You don't have to have been taught to need to want to eat. You don't have to have been taught to need love and somebody to care for you. You don't need, this comes naturally. But when it comes to Sovev, what we learn from it is that the lack of the Sovev, the revelation of the Sovev, is only for somebody who has had prior training or has become used to the fact, like we said, he's learned Emunah, and he understands that there's something lacking in the fact that he doesn't see Ashgacha right now. Again, this is in the Tafri Samach in the Rebbe Rashav's Maimer. The Gimel HaMadrigot sheBa'ava, there are three levels of love, as we know. B'chol levavcha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol mo'odecha. And B'Gimel HaMadrigot anal, they correspond to Memale, Sovev, and Atzmus. The Atzmus of the light of the infinite. Ha'avad b'chol levavcha, u'b'b'chinat Memale. In your heart, that's what it means, with all your heart. But it's b'chol levavcha, with all inside your entire heart. That's the mamale. ד'al-ידי שיתבונן שהחיות של כל דבר הוא אלוקות יבוא לאהבת השם בכל לבבך בשני יצריך. And so in the mamale, you come to experience the love of Hashem through recognizing that He's the life force inside you. What you feel is the life force. We talked about this many times. Because it's integrated into the people, into the soul. It can even be felt in the animal soul. So the very fact that I'm now hungry, that itself can lead me to love Hashem, even though it's the animal soul that's hungry. Or the very fact that I even have a craving for something, and let's say something that's not prohibited, something that's mutar. It's the nefesh habehemit of the Jew, the good part of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Right? So even feeling that I have a craving, I can feel Hashem. Why? Because chas v'shalom, when a person is sick, he doesn't feel a craving for anything. The person who's sick doesn't want food, he doesn't want marital relations, he doesn't want anything. He feels, so even the cravings that you have, you can come from them to love Hashem. Again, they have to be permissible cravings, which is what the nefesh habemis, what the animal soul of a Jew craves. That's its craving. Something permissible, but it wants more of it. So the fact that a person is sitting, Rabbi Isaac brings an example of b'chol levavcha. He says, how far does this go? The person's sitting at home. I think we talked about this once. Maybe we even saw it. Listen. He's sitting at home and suddenly he has company over. At 9 in the evening somebody comes. And his wife just went to the mikveh. He sits there and he's saying, this guy's got to leave soon. What am I going to do when she comes back? And he starts thinking, and he says, and he craves the intimacy, and he's got this guest here, and he says, even that, give thanks to Hashem. Why? Because that's how Rabbi Isaac felt craving. I guess that was the only time he felt craving. So I said you have to give. That's b'chol levavcha. You have to. That's what it means to thank Hashem or to feel Hashem even with the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara obviously here is not to do evil. It's just to do something that's not directly connected to Hashem. It's connected to your cravings. And I don't know why he didn't bring an example that if he's in a wedding. Yeah, but that's
interesting.
yeah. Anyway, okay.
After that, didn't say.
So we'll continue Bezrat Hashem on Sunday.